Hi, I'm Mandy Walker, and you're watching My Divorce Pal, the divorce coaching program that helps you make the best decisions for you. This is the Is Divorce Right for Me track, and today we're talking about being the bad guy for choosing to end your marriage. My first question is, why do you see yourself as the bad guy? Being the one to initiate a breakup is hard, but sometimes people say this and mean something quite different. I have clients explain being the bad guy by telling me that they don't want to wreck their children's lives. They don't want to hurt their spouse. They just can't bring themselves to have the conversation. Each of these is a different issue, and there are different ways of approaching each of these. I'd like you to really consider if there are other underlying reasons to why you feel you'd be the bad guy. Write them down, then look through the other modules in this track for one that speaks more closely to that reason. Now, I've also had readers tell me they can't start the legal process because they don't want to be the bad guy. If this is you, I'm going to ask again if there's another reason why you don't want to make that decisive break. It might be helpful to see that getting divorced is both a legal and an emotional process. The legal process is quite well defined and follows a linear track. The emotional process, on the other hand, typically starts long before the legal process, does not follow a preset pattern, and often continues long after the legal divorce is complete. The emotional process is similar to a series of separations during which spouses become increasingly distant. For example, you might have moved house and now your spouse has a home office and retreats there each evening when you used to sit on the couch together and watch TV. Or maybe you've got a new job which is going great and you're making more money, but it's a longer commute. So you leave home earlier and you get home later. And you and your spouse used to eat dinner together or go work out together a couple of times a week. And that doesn't happen anymore. Maybe now you have kids, and by the time you're there in bed at night, both of you are exhausted, drained, and don't have the emotional energy for each other, and physical intimacy is becoming less and less. Maybe you have very different approaches to money, and in the past, when you've tried to resolve them, it results in major conflict and disagreement, and now you just avoid the topic altogether. Each of these is a separation, and it's part of the emotional process. If you look back over your marriage, you can probably see a sequence of these events. You've probably adapted to each of them and have fallen into patterns of interacting with each other and possibly moving further and further apart with less and less in common. You may even have reached the point where you feel that you're living like roommates, or that you're already functioning like a single parent. If you've reached the point where you don't feel that there's any turning back, why does starting the legal process make you feel like the bad guy? It's because you're shifting from a purely emotional track to starting the legal track. That has a completely different feel to it. There's an air of finality and a sense of no turning back. Most of us don't want to start the legal track unless we're absolutely certain we're making the right decision. So if you can't bring yourself to tell your spouse you want a divorce, then possibly you're simply not ready. The next question I get asked is, when will I be ready? And I say, don't worry, you'll know. I've interviewed many people who have described experiencing what I call a catalytic moment, in which their life comes into sharp focus, and quite suddenly they have the clarity and the certainty they've been wanting. One of my own catalytic moments, and I had several, was a very vivid dream. It was like watching a high-definition movie. I was in my kitchen. I had just gotten a glass milk bottle out of the fridge. I placed it on the counter, and as I tried to take the blue top off, it cracked down one side, and I put one hand over the crack to hold it together and continued to take the top off. Another crack appeared, and I moved my hand to hold both the cracks together, and then another crack, and then another. And with each crack, I moved my hands to hold the bottle together, but soon I couldn't hold it together any longer, and I lifted my hands up, let the milk bottle go, and the milk came gushing out. That dream told me that I couldn't keep living my life the way that I was, that I had to let the happy family facade go. So catalytic moments don't necessarily involve your spouse, and they can be something that would seem quite innocuous to another person, but they carry heavy significance to you, and they will help you know when you're ready to move ahead. While you're waiting for your catalytic moment, I'd like you to imagine what your marriage would be like, say, in a year from now or in 5 years from now if you choose not to move ahead with divorce. What will your relationship with your spouse look like? How will you treat each other? How will vacations and holidays look? How will your children be affected? How will those big events like your child's high school graduation or your next big wedding anniversary look? Is this the life you would choose for yourself? Is it the life you'd choose for your spouse? What about your children? So let's recap. First, I want you to be very specific about why you feel that starting the divorce process makes you the bad guy. This will help you explore other underlying issues. Second, look back over your marriage and identify any separations that have happened. What were they? And what were their consequences? How long has your emotional separation been in progress? Just how emotionally separated are you? Third, you'll know when you're ready, when you have a catalytic moment. And then, how do you see your marital relationship progressing in the coming months and years? Could it improve, get worse, or stay the same? I have one final thought for you. I'd like to challenge the notion that starting the divorce process makes you the bad guy. I think starting the legal process is an act of courage. It's about having the courage to change. It's about having the courage to take responsibility for your future, and you can do it with dignity and with respect. I'm Mandy Walker, wishing you strength and courage. Thank you for watching My Divorce Pal. I'll see you next time.